Hi, my name is Chase Rorison. I'm in 6th grade and I attend Harriet Tubman Public School located in St. Catharines, Ontario. My great-grandfather was an aircraft mechanic for the Royal Canadian Air Force in World War II. This is why I chose my Heritage Fair project on one of Canada's most famous planes.
The Avro Lancaster, one of the most important war-winning weapons yet devised by the United Nations. Its fame is already established from that first heroic daylight flight to Augsburg, through the 1,000 bomber raids on Cologne and Bremen to the present day. The Lancaster is a name that is writing war history.
The Lancaster Bomber was a British World War II heavy bomber. Most of them were built in Britain and Canada. They were first produced in 1942. Over 400 of the 7,000 Lancasters that were built were made in Moulton, Ontario. The Lancaster Bomber played a big role in Canadian history, as their factories provided hundreds of jobs for Canadians during the war, and their bombing raids were instrumental in defeating the Germans, giving the Allies and the Canadians their freedom. The Lancaster Bomber had a large crew and they had a lot of responsibilities. There were 7 people in the crew: the pilot, engineer, navigator, wireless operator, bomb aimer, and the front gunner. Can you tell me about the cockpit?
Sure. This seat here is the flight engineer's seat, and he manages this panel here. This is his temperatures and pressures. This is the fuel. Those there are for fire extinguishers. We got carb heat. There's a new sets of radios.
So right now you're sitting in the cockpit of the Lancaster, and if you were the actual pilot today, that is actually rarer than a space shuttle pilot, because there's only about approximately 8 Lancaster pilots that are currently checked out to fly a Lancaster. Handful in England, handful here in Canada.
The navigator would have to use pencils, paper, and a calculator to be able to navigate where to go and to calculate where they were. The first crews didn't even have radar. The Lancaster had to fly at an altitude of 100 feet so they wouldn't get detected by Germans.
There's a group called the Pathfinders. They would fly in very low, a lot of times Lancaster, a lot of times Mosquitoes, and drop a flare on targets. They would navigate and find out where they wanted you to drop your bombs, so they dropped the flares. And the flares were a particular color of the night. Not any flare color, it was a particular flare color for that night, and you go for those because the Germans caught wise to that and set their own flares. They set their flares out in middle open fields, hoping that you would bomb a field and not a factory.
The Lancaster Bomber had plenty of jobs during 1942 to 1963. Almost all of the 7,000 Lancasters had to commit to nighttime German strategic bombing missions. In November 1944, 31 Lancasters dropped 12,000 pounds of bombs, called tall boys, on the German Tirpitz battleship. The Lancaster Bomber is also used for a lot of other tasks. In April of 1945, the 154th Squadron performed Operation Manna, which sent 3,156 Lancaster bombers to drop over 6,000 tons of dried and tinned food, as well as chocolate, to the starving Dutch. Thank you for having me here at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum.
Well, it's our pleasure, Chase. Hopefully you can come back in the summer and see the Lancaster flying.